one of the things that I've appreciated especially as I've gotten older is how really important the consistency is in both the physical realm and in the spiritual realm, because, I'm getting older. I know that when I, for example, if I take like a week off my usual exercise, regimen, right? And I come back and I'm completely taken that whole week off and completely sedentary. It's like I had taken a year off, like maybe when I was like 20 or something, right? And and when I started really experiencing this and realizing how important it was to be consistent, one of the things that it reminds me of is, when you're younger and say you do wrong, you do a sin, right? When you're younger, because of that state of where you are in your life, it can be easier to bounce back.
Right.
You're very resilient when you're younger, even spiritually resilient, As you get older and the sins keep on piling up, and you're not going to that regular diet of dhikr and asking Allah for forgiveness, that keeps on building and building, right? And so when you fall, when you get older, just like when I fall, like when I've gone off the cliff physically, and I've left it behind. When I fall, it's really hard for me to get back up. It's much harder to get me to get back up than when I was younger, because I feel the weight of those sins, that forgetfulness, and that shows me again that just as physically, that spiritually, I have to really come back to that regular diet of remembering Allah, asking forgiveness, just as the same way that I have to maintain that consistency in how I physically exercise.
Saleem, subhanAllah, this is such an interesting conversation, because one thing let's talk about myself, right? One thing about myself when I first got into physical shape is I would look at these magazines like Muscle Media 2000 with Bill Phillips. You remember this stuff. And now people go to like T Nation and whatnot. And I used to see these guys and they'd put out these programs like get in fantastic shape in 3 months. And so, you as a human, you just want the results really fast. I just want to get it. Okay, if I go to the gym for 3 months, it's all I got to do is 90 days. And then all of a sudden you promised me I'm going to have a six pack. And then you do that and you realize, well, you've gotten in better shape, but you haven't gotten into that shape that you're seeing on the cover of that muscle magazine. So it starts to play with you. And so, I'll tell you this story, subhanAllah. So Sheikh Mohammed Amin rahimahullah ta'ala, this man, he was the teacher of Sheikh Mukhtar Maghrawi. And I remember many years ago, Sheikh Mukhtar, hafidhahullah, he told me, he's like, Moutasem, you have to meet Sheikh Mohammed Amin. He said, just come visit him one day. And the Sheikh happened to be visiting Sheikh Mukhtar in upstate New York. And I remember being in Sheikh Mukhtar's living room, and there walks in Sheikh Mohammed Amin. He's about 100 years old, a Turkish scholar, saintly figure, no doubt. And I remember this like ocean of peace just entered the room, like spiritual peace. And I was in awe by this man. He wasn't big in terms of his physical stature. I was much taller than him. Sheikh Muhammad rahimahullah might have been 95 pounds, really, subhanAllah. But I cowered to this man when he walked in. And I fell in love with him. I said, this man is so beautiful, this walking saintly figure. I want to go spend some time with him in Ankara, because I'm sure that he has some sort of spiritual secret that he must be doing over there that will get me these results a lot quicker than what I'm doing. So Saleem, I went to Ankara, and the Sheikh, this was before he passed away, rahimahullah, was very kind and allowed me to stay in his home for 3 days. So I observed him for those 3 days, and I didn't find anything out of the ordinary. But you know what I did find? I did find a man that was consistent in all of his spiritual acts, adhering to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alih. He prayed all the sunnahs. He used the miswak. He took his time. He fasted Mondays. He fasted Thursdays, rahimahullah. After Fajr, the praiseworthy time of reading the Qur'an until the sun rises, every single day the Shaykh was doing that. He was doing his dhikr at the time that he should be doing his dhikr. He was just consistent. And then I realized he must have been consistent his whole life. The secret is in plain sight. It's just consistency. And over time, it just results in this beautiful, spiritual human being adhering to the sunnah of the Messenger of God, alayhi salam, and that is spiritual beauty. And, when it comes to getting in shape, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just be consistent. You don't have to do it every single day. You can set it up where you can work out 3 days a week. It's very hard to work out Monday through Friday. Well, okay, take one day, take a Wednesday, and then add Saturday and Sunday. It's usually when we have some more time. So there's ways to do it, but it's all in the consistency.
Yeah, definitely. So we're talking about a little about being disciplined in time, talking about the consistency.
Yeah.
What about, say, intensity
Yeah.
in the actual, whatever exercise you're doing, whether it's, cardio, running, whatever. Anything that have you learned about the intensity of your workouts that has affected how you perceive things in the spiritual realm?
Yeah, what's beautiful about when you do these sort of programs is the motivation. Once you, for example, are able to fit into a pair of pants that you weren't able to fit into a month before that, or when you notice that your shirts are fitting in a looser fashion, the results become the motivation. Mm-hmm. So in the spiritual realm, there's been this dichotomy of what are the results we're looking for. And it's really interesting. Imam al-Ghazali talks about this. He says, look, if you're looking for dreams of the saints and the Anbiya, the prophets, and you're going to tie spiritual results to dreams, he's like, everyone sees dreams, right? He's like, it's not about the dreams, right? What it's about, spiritual results, are a change in the heart, where your heart becomes beautified, i.e., for example, I'm a person who's quickly prone to anger. And then all of a sudden I see that I don't get as angry as fast. That's a change in the spiritual realm. If I'm a person who thinks ill of others, and that suddenly my heart starts to change and I don't have that feeling towards people anymore, that's where you're getting in better spiritual shape. Because now what's happening is the heart is starting to cleanse, as it's starting to lose its love handles, let's just call it, right? The fat around the heart. You're coming closer to prophetic characteristics. And that's the sort of change that we want. And the Prophet ﷺ was always pushing himself in the spiritual sense. And we got to do the same thing.
To listen to the full episode, please visit Imanwire.com.